I'm an environmental studies major, so I kind of was aware of it before, but one thing I learned that I didn't know was how much of a plane ride contributes to carbon emissions. So like one plane ride could equate to like a whole year of driving. That's why I'm here volunteering, doing this kind of stuff.
So as a scientist, I always thought, and as a human being, I always thought that knowledge was enough for us to get us to fix this problem. For many years, all what I did was to generate that knowledge with the expectation that people will get to work on it once we tell them what to do. Unfortunately, that time came and we didn't do anything. What I decided to do is, let's start walking the talk. You know, too much talking, not enough doing. This is the opportunity for us to show that we can actually do something.
So basically what we're doing is filling these planters with soil so that we can put seeds in them to propagate about 10,000 seeds that Professor Mora wants to hopefully plant out within the next few months.
All what it takes is just to plant 10 trees. 10 trees a year will be enough for you to offset all of the emissions that you produce in the 1 year. How much is that to us?
Our group is from the Garden Club of Honolulu, and our commitment to Dr. Mora is to collect, scarify, and plant 10,000 seedlings, actually 11,000.
So I actually been working with Professor Mora for almost a year now. I was in one of his classes, and he's a really motivating guy, and you don't find many professors that are actively doing what they're suggesting their students to do. I saw him out there every weekend, cutting trees, planting trees, and I was like, man, this guy needs help, so.
Our club learned about Dr. Camilo Mora's seed planting program through an NPR story. And we were so inspired by his dedication to getting trees into the ground in Hawaii to combat climate change. And that is something that our Garden Club of Honolulu is familiar with.
You cut it all the way down to the ground?
I cut it to as far down as I could get. I'm just putting them on the side.
Oh, okay.
Rather than trying to reduce your daily consumption, which is a lot more difficult, people are able to go in, plant a tree, and hopefully multiple trees. And then that way you can reduce your impact through carbon sequestration through that tree itself.
I mean, when you realize how simple it is, it's kind of remarkable that we are not doing it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, actually.
Why is it fun?
Because you get to get all dirty, and we know we're doing something good.
This is a scarified closed seed. Scarifying means you take the top off of this seed and give it a little extra boost to be able to absorb water and germinate more quickly.
Using these planters, which is basically a biodegradable fabric, we can fill these up with the soil. Later on, put the seed inside, and then once we get a small sapling, we can basically take this whole thing and plant it in the ground at the site that we're working at.
This is not a high-level position. I'm an entry-level.
She goes through all of them and just count how many have germinated, and from there we can take, again, the time that we got the first germination.
Come on, look, they're drooping over.
I know.
I want them to droop over.
You will run out of land in Hawaii in 40 years. 40 years. Obviously, there is no unlimited amount of land, but we have so much land right now that we start planting trees like crazy. In 40 years' time, you will start running out of land to plant the trees. By that moment, I'm hoping that climate change will not be an issue anymore, and we will have a very nice forest to live in. Something that we can feel proud, you know, like me with my grandchildren just looking and staring at that forest and saying, we did it. Yeah, I like it. For later on, it's good for us to start getting a sense on when do we stop waiting, you know, like if we planted today, when is the last time that we can say, okay, this batch
This
didn't
isn't
succeed?
going to make it.
Yeah.
Often it is an insect. It could be even whitefly.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure.
I want to show the boys that there are things that they can actively do to help impact our community, either locally, nationally, globally. And I think that living in Hawaii on an island, the impacts of climate change are so real. And so this is one way we can participate in doing something to combat that.
We have great hope that once these go in the ground, they're successful. It will inspire other people to plant more, and we'll get to 1 million.
So if this issue of fixing climate change cannot be fixed in Hawaii, it cannot be done anywhere. We had everything that you need to fix it. So that is actually a personal challenge for me, and I think that for all of the scientists and all of the politicians in Hawaii, is to show that we can do it. If we cannot do it here, let's just go home. Let's pack and go home. because seriously, this is the best place. We had the land, we had the people, we had the knowledge, we even had the money. We are better off than many other places around the world in terms of money. So why we don't do it? It's a matter of just going and do it. As you see, here we have 10,000 trees right now. Why we don't multiply this by 10? It's only one person that is leading this and 100 people that come every weekend. Piece of cake to multiply that by 10. And then you will get your 1,000,000 trees a year.
More trees.
So after a long struggle to find a place, we finally found a ranch owner willing to let us plant trees on their land. So we are very lucky to be planting trees now in Gunstock Ranch. This is ground zero for the planting of the trees. We are kind of halfway through the actual process. It has been a struggle, man. You cannot imagine how hard it has been to find a place. Yeah, to be honest with you, at this moment, I can see the light at the end of this thing, but at the same time, it's just heartbreaking to see how hard we have made a simple thing like planting a tree.
The big event that's coming up is on Saturday, so that's why we're out here today. We're putting markers down for where we want to have holes dig on Tuesday.
Right now, what we are doing is marking the position of 10,000 holes. I mean, it's difficult to even put the position of 10,000 holes on the ground there. This area, you can see, is like a golf course already by the standards that we are used to plant trees on. Mostly, the areas that we had are areas like you see on the periphery here that are completely covered with halicoa trees. We have removed the halicoas already. We have been lucky enough to have a machine called a mulcher, and with that, we can easily clear the land. So the land has been already cleared. Here, this area is 15 acres, and with that machine, the mulcher, it took about a day to clear. In Alamajemoe, we wanted to plant 1,000 trees in 1 acre, and it took 1 month working every day to clear just the 1 acre. So the first thing that we gotta do, unfortunately, when we wanna start planting native trees is to get rid of the species that were introduced in the first place. And that is one of the hardest things about restoration in Hawaii. Yeah, you would think that is ironic, right? That we had to cut trees to plant trees, but the reality is that these trees, first of all, they don't belong here. These species are so aggressive that are killing all of the native trees that were here, but secondly, they don't really have the scale functions that native trees. As an example, the amount of carbon that is stored in trees like halicoa, in an acre of halicoa, you will have the same amount of carbon stored as a single monkey pot tree. And this species grows super fast, but by the same token, they don't have as good of a service as native species can deliver. This property, we are lucky enough to have the water, so every tree is gonna have irrigation. That's a game changer for us, to be sure that every tree that is planted is gonna have water, or survival is gonna skyrocket.
So to get this far in our stage of planting, we had to give dozens of presentations to both political figures and people in the school systems.
Okay, so can we fix this? Or can Hawaii do it? And the answer to that question is yes, we can. So you see this big number here, 800 million tons? That's how much CO2 could be stored in our Hawaiian forest if we restored it. Trees literally suck CO2 from the air. They use energy from the sun and then split it into oxygen for us to breathe, and carbon, which they lock into their roots and trunk. On our website, you can work out your carbon footprint and how many trees you have to plant to wipe it out. On one side, you have your bad stuff: traveling, food, garbage, and things you do at home. For the average American, that comes to about 20 tons of CO2 per year. On the other side, you have the solution. You can see exactly how many trees you have to plant to become carbon neutral. Here in Hawaii, there's enough land to plant 1 million trees every year for the next 40 years. That's enough to eliminate our entire carbon footprint. And we've got to do it.
Because our way of life is directly causing the extinction of thousands of species. Like this o'o that used to live all across Hawaii. Its song was last heard on Kauai in 1987. Or this beautiful koa finch, gone forever. Or this cute nukupu'u, one of the family of Hawaii honeycreepers, the last of which are going extinct even as we speak. All of these species used to call Hawaii home. The place where your house now stands is where their trees used to be. Where is our compassion? When did we forget that this planet also belongs to them? We can start to fix this, but we need your help.
So it's been a long process. You know, we've been doing this, feels like years, but it hasn't been that long, the actual plantings.
It's 80, Asriel. 80.
80?
But it's been like a third child to me. So Camilo has really spent a lot of time watering and getting these plants ready. Right. And Asriel and I have been right there trying to help as much as we can.
And the thing that we fail to realize is the fact that we want to restore the entire Hawaii. We want to plant millions of trees, and we are not even seeing the difficulties yet. You know, when we plant 100 trees, we can get 100% survival, but when you go to 1,000, to 100,000, to 1,000,000 trees, everything just doesn't work anymore. So all of these things that we think that we are very good at very small scales, they just don't scale up. And that's one of the things that kind of worries me about this issue of us planting trees by the millions, is the fact that we haven't even started. We're scratching the surface of how difficult this is actually going to be.